Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Power Half Hour Unstoppable Business Owner. And I'm your host, Dorothy Odell, for this evening. Before we bring our amazing guest up, I just want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, StreamYard. For all your streaming needs, definitely go check out the streamyard.com /pal /c /528 9588061102 and get your free trial today. It's an amazing opportunity. You can stream to up to 10 different platforms, and it makes my job a lot easier. With that, I would like to bring Bruce to the screen. Welcome, Bruce. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm doing very well. How you doing, Dorothy?
Good. I have to say, a little bit nervous considering this guy is like the king of podcasting here. And so, it's a little bit intimidating, but I'll try and get over myself. um, Welcome to the show, Bruce. For those people that have no idea who you are, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who you are, who Bruce really is, and what it is that you do?
Sure. Let me just straighten out my camera here a little bit, get in the middle. Yeah, so I'm Bruce Chamoff. I'm a musician, a podcaster. I created the very first podcast network in the world back in 2006. It was February, so it was 18 years ago. And I am just an out-of-the-box thinker who likes to solve problems.
I love that. There's not too many people that love to do that. I always say, see a need, fill it, and do it, right? And
Yeah,
so it's nice
absolutely.
to have somebody that does the same thing. So, what made you decide to start the World Podcast Network?
Well, I tell this to everybody. I've done a lot of interviews lately and I get the same question. So when I was in college, I wanted to be a radio DJ. I'm a heavy metal fan. So I wanted to play my own collection of my favorite heavy metal music.
Mhm.
And that was a long time ago. Unfortunately, the radio station was full of DJs. They did not have any openings. So I moved on. Graduated college a couple years later. Now we're in 2005, 2006. I can't remember now. And I'm in this bookstore. I'm Barnes and Noble. I see Introduction to Podcasting by Blueberry Network's Todd Cochran. It was a silver glossy cover with green lettering. How often do you see a book with that type of artwork on the front cover?
Nope,
Hardly
not.
ever. It stood out among all the other books. I just slightly heard about podcasting at that moment. I really ignored it, but then the book kind of made it real.
Mhm.
So what happened was I bought the book. I didn't even
Wow.
read it in the store. I just said, okay, this thing is happening.
Right.
Went home, took me about a week to read the book, and I was off and running first week. Now, because I'm a musician, and you're a musician too, Dorothy, I started my first podcast called the Fresh Music Series.
I love it.
It was really to promote my own on-side music, but I wanted to promote other artists as well. I was on Long Island, New York, and I started the Long Island Podcast Network because, well, actually, no, before that, it was just the Fresh Music Series. I went on Craigslist. I opened an ad and said, hey, if you are an unsigned musician, I would love to play your music on my podcast. Got an influx of musicians. And I can tell you right off the bat who they were. I remember it like it was yesterday. And then that was it. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm a computer programmer. I'm a web developer. Let me do something bigger. Let me create something bigger. Let me sit down and code something. And I decided I'm going to make a network. It wasn't called the podcast network yet. I wanted to basically have a lot of different genres: business, technology, sports, finance, food, anything. It
Right.
wasn't just about music. So that was it. And I programmed a website that will pull all the episodes through everybody's RSS feed. I came up with the term podcast network because I was thinking TV network, radio network, podcast network. That's the story.
I love that, Bruce, and how ingenious of you, you know.
Thank you.
And I know you said that you like to work on websites and things like that. Anything tech, and I'm like don't like doing that. So I'm glad there are
Yeah.
people like you out in the world that know what they're doing and get the job done. So thank
I
you.
think I'm fine. Yep.
And so, what kind of music do you create? Like, what genre of music do you create?
Well, I was doing hard rock, just regular rock for a long time, and then I wanted to get down a little bit to the kids, so I started doing a little bit more pop about 2 years ago.
Hmm.
The pop music is more like I actually use real drummers, and then I stopped losing my voice. I hang on. You can edit that out. Wanted to start using drum machines because I was listening to all these pop alternative artists. They weren't that big, but they have a lot of listeners and followers on Spotify. And I want to be like them. So I decided to change the music a little bit. I went from writing heavy metal and hard rock to, I don't know what you call it, like alt pop. And I stopped using real drummers and I got a drum machine, got like a really nice one. The Alessa's DP, I think, wait, I'm right in front of me. Hang on. The DP18. Wait.
Ooh.
Yeah, there was the DP18. It was like DP16. I wanted to get the better one, and I did. And I bought it on Amazon, learned how to use it. They're not easy. And I started listening more and more to all these new artists, and I wanted to just kind of get out of the 80s rock I've been growing up with. And I'm
Right.
trying to, it's very funny because when you grow up a certain type of music, it's very hard to stop listening to that music. And when you're a songwriter, it's hard to stop writing like that music. So I had to unlearn the 80s. Okay.
I,
It's not easy. I had to get out of that mindset. It's not easy.
right. I'll take your word for it. All I did was write the lyrics to one song. That's it.
Yeah.
And I was blessed to have Toby Christensen come alongside me, put everything else to it, and
Yeah.
made an amazing song.
He did a
Um,
great job with you. I heard. I heard the
oh,
song.
oh, thank you. Yeah. It's funny because I do have the permission to play it since it is my song, but I have not uploaded it back in my back StreamYard office yet, so I will have to get that done. So the world can listen to it. For right now, though, they can go over to Heroes. Hear the Hope Heroes, and go into the archives and search by Dorothy Odell. They can definitely take a look at listen there. And it does cost to download there, but every money, I don't get a dime from that. It goes right back to helping veterans make another song. So that's my way of giving back to the veteran community. One of
That's
many
great.
ways. Yeah, thank you.
That's good. That's how
Yeah,
you do it. Got
that's
to
right.
give back, right? You got to give back. It always comes back later on.
Always 100%. Well, that's funny because I've been dedicating the last 2 or 3 years to them. So that's, in some capacity or another. So, I can't wait to get them front and center in their own documentary, praying that that's coming soon. Um, so, what would you say that you've had to overcome in business to get to where you're at today?
Well, what did I have to overcome? Honestly, it's just, well, I don't really feel like I've overcome anything, to be honest with you. I think that it's just patience, really. I'm a very impatient person. I want results right away. No, I want results right away. And when I don't get them, I get very frustrated. So I had to be a more patient person. You're
Mhm.
either patient or you're not. It's that simple. And I'm not. So I want my success right away. I realize it doesn't happen. Technically, you do have to fail before you succeed, or you never really recognize success.
Mhm.
And I heard a really interesting fact, Dorothy. A lot of people don't notice. Yes, everybody knows that Thomas Edison created the light bulb, invented the light bulb. But what people don't know about Thomas Edison is that he had 10,000 failures before the light bulb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. 10,000. So he succeeded with the light bulb, right? And we still use his invention today, obviously. So
Mhm.
you have to fail, I think. Your failure is not a bad thing. That's kind of the what I overcame. It's like the mindset, right? The mindset to be more patient, to embrace your failures, not get upset when they happen, and learn from them and move on and move towards your success. That's my overcome story.
I love that, and it's funny because there's been so many businesses that I've been in the past. Like I've been an entrepreneur as far back as I can remember.
Yeah, that's
Started
good.
probably when I was 19, 18, having my side hustle as a bookkeeper for doing the small businesses around town, right? And now the coaching that I'm doing. So I get that, and it's not easy,
No,
but it
not.
is. And there are days that you just want to give up, and then there are days that it's rewarding, and then you could potentially save somebody's life depending on what you're doing. So it's for me because even in the podcasting part that we do, like even if one person hears a story when they're ready to give up, it makes it all worth it, right? um
Mhm.
so I mean, and I don't know about you, but that's what I do, uh to help other people. And so by putting uh this content out there, it's a way for people to say, wait a minute, if they can do it and they're just ordinary everyday people, then so can I, right?
Mhm.
um Kind of like how I like to live my life, anyways. I don't know about
Yeah,
you.
I'm the same way. You just have to jump in and do it, and after a while, it just s- becomes part of you, and you enjoy the struggle. And you
Mhm.
and you look back and you laugh at the struggle too, because you're like, how did I even struggle with that? I'm so good at it now. Whatever that is. Podcasting, I see a lot of people have trouble getting started. And then once they get into it, they have no problem. And I hear that story all the time.
Right. Yeah. Well, for me, I saw a 6 week course somewhere online on LinkedIn somewhere, and got this first show up and running within 6 weeks, and here we are 3 years later. So
Wow.
there's been many times I'm like, why do I do this? And you hear from so many gurus, always have your why in front of you, so, because when you have those moments, it's easy to go back on, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. So you said you help um, others with website designs too. Is that correct?
Yes. I
Okay,
don't
good.
do it so much anymore, but I did do it. I mean, I've been doing it since 1995, so it's going on almost 30 years. But I really haven't been doing that much. I mean, I did have a web design development firm, but now my only project really is just making the World Podcast Network as best as it can be and being a
Perfect.
one-stop shop for podcasters.
Perfect. And so the website is worldpodcast.network, correct?
That's right. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, go check that out, guys. I mean, I just put our podcast up there. So excited to be part of Bruce's community and see how we
Thank you.
can, grow each other.
Yeah.
I love that. And so, what tips do you have for business owners today that have made you successful?
My tips for business owners are, let's see, number one, just do it. Stop thinking about it. Stop planning. I like the idea of planning, but I think that planning takes too long. And if you want to make money, stop worrying about planning. Just start selling. Obviously, if you want to form a corporation or an LLC, it's going to take a little bit longer. If you're worried about your personal assets being attacked, or let's say one day you might get sued by somebody in the future, they want your business, you protect your business with an LLC. But if you are what we call a proprietor, which means you're not incorporated and you're just a business owner, then you could just get started, right? Stop
Hmm.
thinking about, I mean, the one thing I do tell business owners, make sure your business name is available. Go to your county or whatever country you're in that you actually look up a business name and make sure it is available. Because if it's not, then someone is going to end up sending you a cease and desist letter sooner or later. So you want to make sure that is available. And of course, you don't want anyone to take your idea in the future. Once you do that, just start selling. Okay. If you have to spend a little money on advertising, branding, inventory, whatever it is, just make yourself a budget and get out there and start the business. That to me is the biggest challenge I hear from a lot of people. Oh, I don't know how to get started. And I always hear this one word that I cannot stand. I will do it someday. I hate someday. Someday means never.
Mhm.
It's either now or never, and someday means never. So stop saying someday. Just do it today. That's my advice. Those are my business tips.
I love that. And so you're right. So many people get caught up in the how to's and instead of just doing
Yes.
it, instead of taking the bull by the horns and things like that. So I love that you said that because
Yeah.
I've been kind of procrastinating myself. So I know what it's like.
I'll tell you a way to get around that. So if you want to overcome, because your podcast is about overcoming, my method for overcoming procrastination, and yes, I am a big procrastinator, not so much anymore, because here's what I feel. When we look at a project and we see it as a whole, it's easy to procrastinate because there's so many steps. And when you look at that project as a whole, it's step after step after step after step, and you get overwhelmed. What you have to do, or I'm not, well, everybody's different. So let me not tell what you have to do, but what I do to overcome procrastination is take it step by step. Get the smallest steps done first. And once you do that, you move on to the next one. Before you know it, you're halfway through your project and you just want to move forward. There's no more procrastination because you've already got into it. And that is how you get over it. That's how I get over it.
I love that, and that goes back to your just do it, right, Bruce? Because I mean,
Absolutely.
at one point, it's funny because I have a friend of mine who is a coach as well, and she said, there is some such thing as too much personal development. And if
That's
we
true.
get into our heads and we keep looking at different things, we're never going to get started.
Yeah.
So get off the soap wagon of that and just really go after it, like Bruce said. And I like small chunks. How do you bite an elephant? One bite at a time. You've never
Interesting.
heard
I
that?
have not.
Really? Well, I know it's not just a Canada thing. So, good old New York. That I love it. You
Yes.
were in
Yes,
New York.
absolutely.
We
Yeah,
were in New York September. So,
you were. New York
yes.
City, Manhattan.
Yes, we were in Manhattan. Yes.
Was that your first time?
My first time.
What do you
If it's
think?
my husband's way, it will be the last time. I
Oh,
would like
wow.
to I would like to go back with girlfriends. It's very busy. We're not used to that busyness.
I
Um,
I worked in New York City for 6 years. I was also in New York City on September 11th. So
oh
I got
geez.
I'm a I got out of the city. That's a whole nother story for another day. But yeah, I was in I was not down by I wasn't downtown by Ground Zero. I was
Mhm.
uptown. So I was nowhere near the wreckage. And I wasn't by the trade towers. I was fine.
Wow. Well, we're glad you're
Obviously.
fine.
Yeah.
So what is it, how can we support you today? Like what is it that you're looking for?
I'm just looking to and continue to be the biggest podcast network in the world and be that one-stop shop to help podcasters. I have a team. I have my partner is Shari, who's actually in the room with me right now. Say hi, Shari. And she has not only is she my rock, but she's also just amazing at what she does with the podcast network. And the members are starting to love her because she just started working with me a couple of months ago. And now technically I'm the face of the World Podcast Network, but now Shari's becoming that face as well. And the two of us are making it run. My daughter works for me. So, as I think I told you once before, Dorothy, so that is, and we have a team of other people as well. What can people do to help me? Well, just visit the website if you have a podcast, see what we do for you. And if you have any questions, oh, I see that you just you just put that worldpodcast.network. Thank you for flashing that. And just see what we do. You have any questions? Fill the form out. Also, I'm sure Podno 2024 won't be out won't be out before this episode airs, but we have Podno 2024 coming up this Saturday, and I'm sure by the time this episode airs, it will already have been done. But yeah,
Yeah.
we're always doing events every single year, like once a year. So we want to, you can come to that as well.
I love that, and yes, go check out versus World Podcast dot network. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time saying that today. So you'll have to forgive me. Go check that out. I mean, you've got some amazing podcasts on there.
Thank you.
You've taken a lot of work and a lot of detail to make that success. So anybody, you know, wanting to even put their podcasts on your network, definitely, go check that out. And wow, just thank you so much, Bruce, for being here today. We
Thank you, Dorothy,
appreciate
for
you.
having me on. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there any last words that you want to say to our guest today before we wrap this up?
Just enjoy life. Stop taking everything too seriously and be serious when you have to, but work-life balance and keep it going. That's it.
I love that. Work-life balance. There's been, as a recovering workaholic, that's something that I still
I'm a workaholic. I'm still a workaholic.
I'm trying to tone it down. Trust me, I am. But yeah, thank you so much, Bruce, for your
Thank you,
wisdom
Dorothy.
and for sharing the World Podcast Network with us. See, I said it right this time.
Yes, you got it.
And thank you all who are listening in today. And I just want to give a shout out to our last sponsor of today's show, which is thekimbra.com /offers /TZLAOAWV /checkout. Go check them out if you want any more time, money, or resources. And this will also be in the show notes as well. I guess I don't have to really say it all out, but for those of you that are listening to this on the audio version, you have that there and it is in the show notes. But if you need more time, money, or resources, the Kimbra is the place to be. They have rituals weekly that help you in all those areas. So go check them out. Tell them Dorothy sent you. And with that, guys, be unstoppable in all that you do. And same time, same channel next week. Bye for now.